Come on then, he screamed. The closest began to surge on Gabriel. He looked around frantically and turned and ran. The problem with living in a cul-de-sac was that it was an easy bottleneck for the gang to cut him off. Gabriel saw two cars pull across the street, blocking him in. Mark stepped out of one of the cars, accompanied by a girl with straight black hair and a pointed nose. Mark pulled out a gun and pointed it at Gabriel. He saw the flash of light. Gabriel concentrated all his power on repelling anything moving towards him. He felt the bullet punch through the dome he had created. It passed through it, moving towards Gabriel. Then he was moving sideways. He opened his eyes and looked at the beautiful blonde girl who had just saved him. "Thank you," he breathed. The girl simply nodded and she stood up and turned to the gang behind him. Gabriel could see his father trying to push through the gang. As he moved through, he was being punched and kicked, slashed and stabbed. Gabriel was watching his own father being killed, trying to get to him. "No!" He screamed, all of his emotions rising up into a crushing wave, pushing the lump in his throat down. Gabriel aimed his hands either side of his father and pushed out the way, clearing a path for him to move towards his son. "Gabriel!" His dad screamed, sprinting through the cleared corridor. As his father approached him, Gabriel saw bullets begin to pepper the area surrounding Gabriel and his female saver. "Why isn't he hitting us?" Gabriel found his voice through cracked lips. "I'm a mutant," the girl said. "I am confusing his aim." "Thank you, now let's go." Gabriel ran at his dad full pelt. The girl followed. Placing his left arm around her waist, Gabriel hit his father in his waist with his right bicep. Still running, Gabriel jumped and repelled the ground with all of his might. He began to hurtle towards his house. Misjudging his aim totally, Gabriel smashed his face into the wall of his house. Cyclops put the Blackbird down at the end of the street and saw that a gang of at least 60 had gathered. Wolverine turned to each of the Yaffle mice in turn. "We are not here to aggravate the situation," he snarled. "It looks pretty aggravated already," Cyclops said, adjusting the width on his visor so he could push his way through the gang rather than shooting through them. "If we had Nightcrawler, he could get the people outside without too much of a fuss. We'll do it the old-fashioned way," Havoc said, charging his power. The three Yaffle mice pushed into the crowd. Yaffle sat bolt upright so quickly it almost made Kitty wet her second diaper of the trip. "Kitty, get changed, we have to move, the others need our help." Kitty jumped through into the back of the van and cursed. Her tight suit would show off her diaper bulge nicely, or she could chance going without it and pray she didn't wet her suit. As if her body wanted to answer her question, the Diet Coke she had drunk on leaving the lake began to soak into her diaper. She waited until she had finished, then pulled on her fresh diaper along with her combat suit. As she squirmed back into the front of the van, Professor Yaffle told her, "I will be unable to hide that until after the fighting has finished." "It's for protection, Professor," Kitty said. Gabriel awoke inside his house. He was in the upstairs bathroom with his mum bandaging his hands. What happened?" "Relax, you saved both of them and now we have a chance to leave," his mother said, busily trying to stop the blood flowing out of the wound where his watch had smashed through his wrist. "But what about the fighting?" "It's nearly over. The specialists have sent in some mutants to help us to live through this." "Good, but I must see this," Gabriel mumbled, staring down at his thickly bandaged hands. His mother helped him down to the window beside his dad and the mystery girl who had saved them, and they watched the fighting. Three mice were fighting back the crowd. One was using his fists, one was firing crackling red bolts of energy from his eyes, and the other was firing sizzling yellow energy bolts from his arms. They weren't killing the mob either. They were knocking them unconscious or driving them back from the house.